Hey gamers, it's Kwing here, and I'm bringing you yet another stellar video review. And yes, this is a Game Nights Entertainment review exclusive, Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus for the Nintendo Wii, which released on May 15th, 2009. Keep in mind that this game is just an add-on to the 2007 Wii Fighter, so fans don't have to worry about the gameplay changing or anything like that. Yet again, I have found that the big boys like IGN, GameSpot, and the rest are tearing this game apart. In fact, you won't really find any differences in their written reviews like their past ones. They say the same thing. It's a great game with awesome visuals, but poor controls. Bah! Well, I have something different to say. This game is awesome! Whoever said fighting games are a thing of the past, I challenge them to pick up a Guilty Gear game. Street Fighter may have been huge in the 90s, but fighting games owe their rebirth to the Guilty Gear franchise. For the past 10 years, fans all over the world have had their faith renewed in 2D fighters. I was first introduced to the series way back in 2003 on the PS2, and I have been hooked ever since. If you guys love games like Samurai Showdown and Soul Calibur, then you will melt for this series. It is so cool. I was so overwhelmed when Accent Core released for the Wii back in 2007, and it, to this day, is one of my most played Wii fighters. I was also shocked by the amount of poor reviews that this game has received then and now, so it's up to old Kwing to bring the glory this game so desperately deserves. Like most of the fighting games, the game is split into different modes of play. The arcade mode is your traditional mode where you fight your way to be the best there is. In this game, your final opponent is I Know, which actually makes a lot of sense if you've played Guilty Gear X2. Anyway, Mom Mode has you collect some type of currency and has an additional bar added in the bottom middle of the screen. Ah yes, the two-player versus mode. The most fun anyone will have playing this game is of course the multiplayer. There's nothing quite like facing off against your friend one-on-one. The object, of course, is to best your friend and prove that you're the ultimate fighter. Ah, you can't go wrong with the classics. Versus CPU is good for practicing and gearing up for local tournaments, but the characters aren't that smart. Team Versus has you pick different fighters to face one another, so if you've played those modes, you're pretty familiar with how it goes. You lose when your last fighter dies. Same rules apply as when playing against your friend, only this time it's a computer you face. Survival mode is one of my personal favorite, and what makes this mode so interesting is not only the earning back your health, but also surviving against daredevil challenges. Once besting the Shadow Fighter 2, your character will level up. Mission mode is brand new to the series, and you need to follow the briefing in order to win the match. Otherwise, if you don't do what the mission says, then you're gonna get owned. The last mode is, of course, the story mode, where finally the character stories are told after 10 years. Although, I don't think it's really a backstory, it's more like a continuation of X and X2. Although it does tie in the events from the original Guilty Gear game. Well, it tries to anyway. Still, the overall concept of this game is to fight. What did you think? You have to beat your opponent and KO them before they KO you. So, as I said before, this game is nothing more than an add-on of the core game for the Wii. All the stuff that you loved about the X and X2 series is the same. Knocking dudes in the air, super moves, although since Accent Core, we do have instant kill moves now too. Except I didn't really use any in this review, and they are a beast to pull off. Gameplay-wise, the game is really great, and I honestly mean that. Players are given a choice of what type of controller they want to use. So if you guys don't want to use the Wiimote or the motion controls, then just plug in your classic controller. That, to me, is a brilliant move by the developers. However, I do not advise you using a GameCube controller at all for this game. The controls are perfect for this game if you're familiar with games like Street Fighter, Samurai Showdown, and the SNK fighters. All the super moves are virtually identical to most of the Capcom games, so you guys shouldn't have any problems pulling off super moves. And your favorite fighters are basically clones of your favorite heroes. Example, my favorite character in this game is called Kai, and he is a clone of Ryu, so all his lightning attacks and his uppercuts, if you guys know how to play as Ryu, then you'll have no problems playing as Kai. Okay, let's dive into some of the bad things about this game. First off, if you don't have a classic controller, I would advise buying one right now. Don't play this game without the classic controller. Playing with the Wiimote and joystick isn't as terrible as the first Wii game in 2007, but it's not very good either. Although they did fix the motion controls just a little bit, but it's still pretty laughable. The second thing I have wrong with this game is there is still no online play. What is your deal? Most fighting games released on the Wii in the fall of 2008 of last year have had online play. I was hoping that since this game was delayed since January of this year, that it would have had online play. Otherwise, what is the point of me going out and buying the same game over again? I mean, really. You would think story mode would be a good quality for this game, and it's so not. Had it had anime scenes or something that made the story seem interesting, then I think I would be a little nicer to it. But what the fans got after 10 years was pictures with Japanese voice actors. I mean, wow. I'm not even really going to go into that. That is just a huge disappointment. The last thing that I have wrong with this game is that the last boss in Accent Core was I Know. But the fact that they brought her back for the last boss in Arcade in Plus just really annoys the crap out of me. She is by far one of the hardest bosses that I have ever fought in a fighting game, and I can't beat her past normal difficulty. I have tried and tried and tried, and I just can't beat her. Just like the last game on the Wii, the anime and the hand-drawn backgrounds look so amazing. And I love just about all the level design and the characters for this game. This is one of the better looking Wii fighters to date, and it's hard to tell the difference between the Wii game and its arcade counterpart in Japan. That to me is very impressive, and that is great level design. My favorite design stage is this one right here, and it really makes it look impressive with Kai and Soul Bad Guy standing there in the pouring rain and the thunder and all that other stuff. It's just, man, words can't describe it. Guilty Gear shows the next generation of gamers that graphics are not what make a game awesome. This is a 2D game, and it looks insane. And the fun factor is just way above awesome. Guilty Gear has another ace up its sleeve too, and the first thing that I noticed about this game, other than its wicked presentation back in 2003, was its music. Never in my life have I heard metal music used like it is in this series. I could spend a whole review just talking about all the different kinds of music in Guilty Gear, but I won't bore you with that. As a musician myself, I can tell great music when I hear it, and I would love to do a cover of Kai's theme someday. Now, being a fan of Street Fighter growing up, I wasn't too happy with them abandoning the 2D theme in order to go into 3D games like the horrible EX series. Although Street Fighter IV wasn't that bad, but I still prefer it in 2D. Guilty Gear 2 was a 3D game, and I'm happy it tanked, because since then the developers have learned that the series is best left in 2D, and I applaud them for that decision. The best thing this game has going for it is so much fun to play over and over and over again. That was the charm of the fighters of old, and Guilty Gear is the same thing. What makes the experience for me too is playing with a second player. My best friend in Rhode Island is my rival in this series, and I find it fitting that his main character is Soul and mine is Kai, and they're rivals and stuff like that. Anyway, we need to record some of our epic matches, but this time around it was just my wife who was more than happy to play, and she said she had a blast playing this game. Well, the character roster is a bit bigger than Accent Core, and I do think that the multiplayer is reason enough alone to buy this game. Unless, of course, you guys don't have any friends or brothers and sisters to play with. The solo player is okay, but it does get boring after a while, and there's nothing quite like playing against another human being. I'm also very annoyed that this game doesn't have any online matches, but I've already stressed that enough, but I can't see why I would buy this game over the one that I already have. But what really eggs me is that this game is the same as Accent Core. It is just an add-on with the name Plus, 2 new characters and 2 new modes. So I can't suggest buying this game at all. Now try not to confuse my rant about saying the game is bad. It's not bad, but it is an add-on of the Accent Core 2007 Wii game. Plus is a great game, but it's not better than Accent Core. It's the same game, with the Plus added onto it and 2 new characters. So with that being said, Game Nights gives the add-on a 7.2 out of 10 because it's fun, it has great visuals, epic music, high replay value, and it's a solid multiplayer experience. So if you guys can't find Accent Core, then you guys could pick this game up, but it's best left as a rental. Well, this is K-Wing saying God bless and happy gaming. Thank you so much for watching. Later, gamers.